perfection. Excellent, excellent. There. Okay, let's get right into it today, guys. Let's gonna get right into it, because this painting took like 90 minutes yesterday. So we're gonna try to do it a bit faster than that, but it does have a lot of detail, so I hope you're ready to do a really cool wintry scene as I get the rest of this paint out of the old box. So while I'm loading up my palette full of paint, probably need more than that. Here we go. You guys check in. Tell me where you're watching from. What time is it where you are right now? I'm gonna get this stuff all situated. This will be my third painting today. No, we didn't do 2 live shows. I had a class and then a virtual class. And boy, I'm tired already. But I decided I had to come up here and do a little painting for you, right? Remember, get your Paint with Josh palettes on paintwithjosh.com. Let's come over here. Go into our ultramarine blue, which is kind of a mix of our phthalo blue and our Prussian blue. It's just a different color, different brand. We're gonna mix it down and down and down. Letting it get lighter and lighter and lighter. Why? Because our canvas is already wet with our Bob Ross liquid white. We took a 20-inch by 24-inch canvas and we covered it in Bob Ross liquid white. And then we turned on the cameras and started streaming to all of you gorgeous folks out there. Right? Take a little touch of my Bob Ross black. We're going to come in from this side with our Bob Ross black. Just a little. Now the Bob Ross black is not a very black color. Okay, it's a very light black color. So you don't want to use too much of whatever color black that you have. If you don't have the Bob Ross black, do not use too much of whatever you have, because it will be very, very, very dark, and then you won't be able to blend it out of your sky. So just use a little bit. Okay, now, even with just that amount of paint on the canvas, we have too much paint on our brush in order to be able to blend it, right? So let's go knock the paint off of this brush. You guys check in. Let me know where you're watching from around the world. Maybe you're in the US, tell me what state you're in. If you're in around the world, tell me what country you're watching from. And then we're gonna take our clean, dry brush, same old thing, right? In here into our lightest part first. We're gonna crisscross back and forth and blend it down. And here and there and everywhere, we'll have a little bit of a different shade of color. Right, as this black mixes in with all of the white paint that's on the canvas as well, it'll get lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter. Right? As it's going down, whatever color it is, it's going to get brighter because it's mixing in with our what? Our wet canvas. Exactly. The canvas is already wet and waiting for our paint to get there. That's the wet on wet technique. It's taking wet paint and applying it to a wet surface, right? So, the more you blend, get a cool little sky out there. That's neat. Why don't we chuck in just like one little soft little cloud? We'll get our titanium white, we'll pull it down, enough of it onto our brush that we're trying to cake it on there. You know what I mean? There's a ton. Because in a blue sky, it's going to blend away very quickly. It's gonna want to turn blue almost instantly. So let's toss a little thing right out there. Maybe over here. A little bit bigger on the bottom. Just big enough for our brush to grab it. We don't need it to be much bigger than that. Right? Because we'll come back in with a little 1-inch brush and we'll start to mix it down. Some little counterclockwise strokey poos. We'll mix it down, we'll push it over here, and we're gonna vary our pressure, right? Our pressure is gonna be very light along the top so it stays nice and bright. And then as we get down here, we're gonna push a lot harder so it blends in with that sky color. Right? It's all about varying your pressure. Now, we've got that light. It's worked all the way into this darker color in here, which is just a beautiful little place for your next little cloud. We can drop it in, down, kind of staying underneath. Right there. You don't need too much more than that, you guys, for this little scene, I'm telling you, because we're going to pop in a whole bunch of other stuff in the front. So go back to your same brush, mix it up, mix it up. Mix it up very light along the top, harder on the bottom. Light along the top, harder on the bottom. And then we push it, push it, push it, push it, blend it, mix it, however you want it to be. And all of a sudden, just in 5 minutes, you got yourself a cool little cloudy little sky out there. You guys! Right, how bright, how dark, all up to us each time that we go to do one, okay? Now we're gonna mix up a whole big bunch of our Paint with Josh plaque mix. So who out there knows what colors you mix up in order to make this plaque mixture? Do you know? You know which colors? Remember, you can find these big old Paint with Josh palettes in clear and in black. The black is just so gorgeous. If you go over to paintwithjosh.com, you can find those. You can also find this painting available right there on the front of the homepage, right on the website. Right? Mix up a whole big bunch of this darkness. Now, because we're only using limited colors in our scene, we're not going to use every single color in the book. We need to work on our values, right? So we're going to take a bit of our white, a bit of our plaque mix, and we're going to mix it up down here so it's much brighter in color. See that? Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. That's gorgeous right there. That bit of gray is going to stand out and even become more and more and more light as we mix it in to our background sky back there. Okay, so I'm going to take my Paint with Josh fan brush. You can find these fan brushes inside the Paint with Josh kit, which can be found where? Of course, paintwithjosh.com. Let's come down here and let's just start kind of up into our clouds a little bit, creating little triangles, right? So we'll come down, we'll pop a little triangle down in there. Right? It's a messy old place out there in the forest. Not everything is going to be the exact same height or same shape or same color or whatever. Right? We're going to work it in, work it down, using that paint. Maybe we dip down over here, we pop up again, we come in, we pop down, we come up, we pop down again. Just kind of fattening it out into little triangles. Now, the more that you do it, okay, the more it's going to look like a little forest, especially the more you smash all these little guys in and you fill in all this area in between and you're just mushing and pushing on that paint and blacking out or graying out anyway. Everything else behind it, it's gonna push your clouds and your sky just a million miles into the distance. Back over here, same color. Right, we're gonna try to climb up and up and up until we're just off the canvas. Right? Now we've got all this dark area that we've got to fill up with our paint, tapping it down and down and down and down and down and down and down. Now, how much of our trees are we actually going to keep? How much are we going to pay attention to? Because it's not all of this. We don't care about all of this stuff. Right? We're putting it out here so we can blend it away, basically. Climb up taller and taller and taller on your canvas until you're off the top. Now, in order to stretch these guys out, right, and flatten them so we can make a new layer in front of them, we have to go across them with a medium pressure, not trying to really drag the paint anywhere. And if you get little brush marks on your canvas from going like, that's okay, don't worry about it, all right? Just like that, take the same brush, since we got lots of room on this big old canvas, and we're gonna hit it down at an angle. See, we're like this. We're not flat onto it, so we're not hitting it like this, straight onto the canvas. We're hitting it at this downward angle, tapping the darkness down, picking up the bright, popping it back up into the dark. And the more that you do it, the more it starts to look like misty fogginess. You can even come up here above your horizon. Who cares, right? We can't really see what it is. That's the mist. That's the mysteriousness of it. Pop down, come up, down again. Don't just make it straight across, right? Have your mist be a little bit different, a little bit weird. And we're only ever really focusing on the top 1 inch to 2 inches of our trees. So whatever you have up here, however much you painted, we're only worried about that much. So everything else underneath becomes misty fogginess, right? Blend it up with your little counterclockwise circles over here and over there. And all of a sudden, we can't really tell now where the base of that forest is because of the mist, right? We don't know where the trees are sitting. We don't know exactly where the bottom is. And that's the mysteriousness of it all, right? Now, we needed to do those in a lighter color because, there we go, wipe those little guys away. Because now we can drop in a new section of forest, a little bit darker. And that's going to help it stand out like it's in front. Now, what are we gonna do? We're gonna take this lighter color right here. We're gonna take about half the amount of white that we grabbed the first time, and about half of our pile that we have left over here. We're gonna mix them together, right? Our goal is to be a slightly darker color. Maybe we need a bit more white. There we go. Slightly darker color than our background, our first pile was. Okay, so by controlling how much white that you have in there, and how much dark that you have in it. You control your color, keeping it brighter than our original darkness, but darker than our color that we put up there initially. Now we'll go back with the exact same brush. Go into that little bit of darker color, wiggling it down, wiggling it down. I can already see it's darker on the brush, right? And we'll be able to test it right over here. There. Out there, drop down into your mist. Into your misty areas you must go. Right? Because if you don't, you're just gonna be fighting against all those other trees. That's why we made this light area, so we could dip down and pop up. And have these little spots back in there where that mist is kind of flowing back into the forest all over the place. Right? And we can decide, again, we're gonna dark all these things out. And when they're all darked out like that, then it's going to project the other ones further away, further into the distance, right? All these things we can do. We didn't even need to go all the way to the edge over here, honestly. We didn't have to do that. I wanted to stick over onto this side, but it's okay. Each time you do a painting, you do it a little bit differently. You can change some things. But as long as your color remains darker than its initial first set out there, right? And it's going to remain, it's going to look like they're closer to us, especially if you can keep that little gap in between. Came down, we rolled up again. Like I got real tall. Maybe there's one in between. Maybe there's two in between. Whatever, it doesn't matter, right? No one's gonna be looking at these trees as much as you think they are, right? When I was talking to one of my students, Brenda, this morning, about everything, right? Clouds, trees, whatever, right? We're the only ones, as we're painting them, that are going to be looking at it for all of the imperfections, right? When everyone else looks at it, they're gonna go, oh, that's neat. Oh, that's nice. I like those colors. Oh, that's cool. You know what I mean? We're the only ones that are like, oh, this one tree I just couldn't get right, right? So, the point being, don't focus too much on one certain thing in your painting. Because that thing that you probably dislike is going to be someone else's favorite part about your whole painting, right? So back in here, we're just tapping down vertically, coming up next to it, trying to make it not the same. Come up a little higher, a little lower. Maybe this guy needs to be a little bit taller, so it goes right down in here, tapping it down. Sometimes you need 5 or 6 taps in one area just to get it down far enough. Right? We're trying to create a bit of mysteriousness. We don't really want to know exactly where our trees live back here. Let's take all this fogginess, transition it up into our trees like that, and then get down in here and mix it in with all of our liquid white that's still on our canvas. Right? We have all that stuff there that's still wet. It's flowing, it's mixing in and allowing all of our other darker paints to then become brighter. Right? So we get down in here. We flatten off an area. We can already start to see some ground, right? Just by how it looks right now. You can already see a little bit of ground out there at the base of our forest. We get to then decide what we want our ground to look like. And now that we're closest to us, we're gonna be using our darkest mixture of our color. In fact, since we have some of this right here, we save that bit and we'll just take the rest of this dark, because we can always make up new, fresh dark. We'll mix it in here. And this will be for our 2 kind of mid-ground trees, maybe 1 mid-ground tree and a bush. Depends on how much paint we have. Okay, so we'll come out here. Let's wiggle it down, wiggle it down, wiggle it down. This should be a bit darker than our other color that was already out there. We're gonna find out by going like this. Not right in the center, but maybe right there. Boom! What makes this tree right here, our little friend, just hitting it just with the corner, what makes him look like he's in front of all those other trees back there? What about him, right, makes it look like he's closer than everything else in the distance? Right? What about it? Look at those cool, look at the cool branches that the Paint with Josh brush makes on these pine trees. They're so neat, right? But what about him makes him look closer? Do you have an answer? Can you tell me? Can you see? It's a little taller than our trees, right? That, yes, but it is a little shorter than the rest of the trees as well, right? It's a little darker, so it makes it look a little closer to us. And all we're really gonna do is come up here and decide where we want it to live by grabbing a higher point first, working down to a lower point. So we're making this angle, and then we're gonna reverse that and start dragging up higher and higher and higher. And all of a sudden our tree will look more 3D just based on that alone, right? Versus if you were to just cut it straight off across the middle. Stretch this guy out. You can blend it. You can drag the white from that's over here, because remember, our canvas is wet. The whole canvas gets wet. That's what the wet on wet technique is. We take our wet paints from here, they're obviously wet, right? Put it onto a wet surface, and then it'll allow you to, almost like a sequin pillow, you can slide colors back and forth like a magician. I'm a wizard, Harry. Just be careful. Let's get out of here. Gorgeous, you guys. Oh, I'm digging him. Okay, now let's pop in, since we've got just about enough paint to do a little bush next to our little friend back here. Let's scoop up as much as we can of that thick paint onto just the top side of the brush. All right, let's get out here and just launch in a little bit. Now, what about this bush makes him look closer than our tree? Does anybody have a clue? Get a clue, bro. Do you have a clue what makes this little bush look closer than our tree? It's definitely not taller, right? It's definitely not darker because we use the same exact color. So what about it makes it look closer? Why is it in front? Because it's lower, exactly. It's lower than our tree back there. So depending on where we pull from, and starting at a high point to a low point, high point to a low point, right there, makes it look more 3D. And because of where it sits down here, in front of that tree, it doesn't have to be taller than the tree itself. But because of where it sits, makes it look like it's a little bit closer, maybe a foot, just a little bit closer this way. All right, now, before we get too crazy, and before it gets too dark, remember, you can always dab off your brush, come back here and drag that color from the edge and sort to already brighten it, right? Dragging it over, kind of making it so we can put our white paint on there. By the way, if you like this painting, you can find it over on paintwithjosh.com. If you like it, head over there, put it in your cart, come back, and then tell us what we're gonna name it, because if you purchase it, you get to title it. Now, let's come out here, grab a little bit of our white paint. Over here, I'm gonna decide all of our white, or all of our light colors coming from our right-hand side. So again, starting from a higher point, working down at this very low, very shallow angle, you can make it look like that side's further away. That side's a little bit closer, right? All things up to you every time you do it. You do it a little differently. You can do it the same way if you want to. Let's take a little bit of our white, a little bit of our blue. We'll come off of this side. You gotta have a blue tint if you want a shadow in your wintry scene. It's gotta have a little bit of blue tint to it. So you can imagine light coming down, hitting our white side, our snow, casting our bluey shadow over to this side. Right? Very simple. Very easy little scene, so I can't wait to see your guys' versions of this scene. Did you know we're also streaming over to YouTube, and you can actually follow along with the video and then send me in your version, a little picture of your version? Because you can. We got more than 2,500 YouTube tutorials to learn from, including this one. So let's tap on a little bit of our blue. All right, we dipped into our liquid white. We went over into our blue paint. The liquid white thins down these very thick paints. Because Bob always told us the golden rule, a thin paint will stick to a thick paint, right? We're already starting off with very thick paint. That means we cannot stick any more thick paint on top of it. It just doesn't work. So you have to go back to your liquid white, thin down your paint so it's not runny like water, but much wetter than its original thicker form. And we'll come over here, and we'll start tapping on little things. And the more that you hit this dark paint, the more it's going to darken our light color, right? You're gonna drop off your light, and you're gonna pick up the dark as you go. But just like that, isn't that amazing how a little bit of white and a little bit of blue over the top of that real deep dark color creates a depth-filled tree. Now, why does the tree have depth, right? Why? What about the tree makes you think you can reach inside of it, right? Pull out its still beating heart. What about that tree says that? You can always go back over with your dark brush as well. Just kind of dull down some of those shadows are a bit too bright. Right? Let me see the comments. What about that tree says it has depth? The dark, exactly. the dark separators. Man, it seems like you guys are like actually listening to me when I teach. It's amazing. The darkness is the depth, right? So let's imagine not trying to cover too much of our bush either. Okay, so we'll get a little bit of our liquid white onto the brush, a little bit of our blue, tap it in there, just a little. We don't need everything. I'm imagining if our light's coming down here, maybe behind that tree might be a little bit of blue. Behind this side of the bush might be a little bit of blue, but we're not gonna overdo it. We're not gonna overcover anything because it's very easy to do. It's very easy to overcover all that stuff, especially when your brushes are about as big as your bush is, right? A little bit of my white, come down in here, right in between very light little tappy taps. Little places where the light's catching onto our bush, right? Other places where it's catching that shadowy area in the back because you can't cover it all. I mean, you could cover it all. I'm telling you not to though. Please don't. Please don't cover it all. Okay, now, let's come back in. We need to mix up a little bit more of our dark paint. And does anyone out there know the 3-color mix that it takes in order to mix up this dark mass? This enormous pile of dark oil paint. You can kind of see them all 3 shining through right there, which means we haven't mixed it enough. We have to mix it up again. Over here, just flattening it out like pancake mix, flipping it over, scraping it up and then flipping it over. So you have this pile. It's like a little pile of potatoes over here. Okay? You gotta get your pile of potatoes over here in order to have enough paint to do these trees. Because you gotta have a lot. You really have to have a lot of paint. Blue, black, and crimson, that's it. Remember guys, this painting is available over on Potatoes Cosmics here. It's available over on paintwithjosh.com and you can grab it. It's the very first thing that you're gonna see when you go to paintwithjosh.com. So if you type that into your web browser and pull it up, it's the very first thing you're gonna see over there. Now, what about this tree is gonna make him look closer than the other trees are and my little bush back there? What about this tree makes him closer than everything else in the distance, right? Why is this one closer to me, right? And the trunk is only really for your guideline. It's lower, it's a little thicker in the trunk, I feel you. It's taller, right? It's bigger. And we're using a darker color paint because now this is just our pure plaque mix. It's the darkest stuff we can get. So we're gonna come up here, we're gonna tap on just a couple little things and then we're gonna start moving side to side, side to side, side to side, getting bigger and bigger and bigger, right? They don't all have to connect, but just, they look better if they do all connect. I've seen some trees like this. People go like this, and then they're like that, and like this, and like nothing is connecting. It doesn't look as good, to me, anyway, just my own opinion, as if you were to go back and fill it all in the center. Looks a little bit more full, a little bit bigger, you know what I mean? Don't make it so symmetrical. Have it pop out in certain places, a little bit weirder in other places. Sometimes you got a real long branch on one side. They happen like that, you guys. I swears it. I swears it. They grow out and be all weird. What if we dropped down and we launched out another little section? Little section. Just a little eagle's nest, I call them, right in there. Right? However big you want it to be, however thick. And then if you didn't like it, what do? Just fill it in the middle. How do you want yours to look? Because again, it's all up to you every time you do it, right? You're gonna do it a little bit differently than you did it last time. Because unless you're a robot, I can't do it exactly the same as I did it last time. It's always gonna be a little bit different. Fill in those spaces. Fill them in, fill them in. Oh, I like it. See, what about this tree makes him bigger, or makes him closer than our other guy? Lots of stuff, right? His darkness, where his little butt sits down here in the snow, how big his tree, how wide his tree is, right? Makes him bigger, makes him closer to us, right? Right? I know, you don't have to tell me. Very flat on our poles to the side. I don't like that light spot back there. There we go. Right, but the higher up that I take his trunk, the closer and the further away it's gonna make it. It's gonna make it look like it's back next to this guy on a different plane, right? When in my mind, he sits a lot closer to us. So, let's get down here and let's decide, you know what we're gonna do? Let's pop some highlights onto this guy. let's throw some old lights onto this guy over here. This guy over here. Remember, you can go grab this painting, or you can get your very own Paint with Josh palette in clear or black if you go to paintwithjosh.com. Head over there. Tap on the blue, very light little taps. Missing spaces, right? You do not want to hit the same spot more than twice when you're doing this, because it'll deposit too much paint. So we're kind of going back and forth and slapping into the canvas as we go, right? Back and forth and back and forth. And that way we're hitting different spots at different times, and nothing at all is exactly the same color or brightness or whatever, right? We're not trying to cover every single bit of every part of our tree either. We don't need every piece to be so bright or whatever, right? It's all up to you when you're doing yours. Need a little bit more of my darkness in here. This is a big old monster of a tree, so we need a bigger, darker area back there because it got a little bit too bright, right? I went a little bit too ham on my blue highlights back there, and it got a little bit too bright, so I had to go back over here, dull them down, right, by adding in more darkness, and then go back and miss some areas so everything's not all too bright, okay? That's all you gotta do, little things, little spots of blue in little places, and then we'll go back with our white. So let's wash our brush off. And I bet you a double tap on the screen that when I lay down this white over the top of that black mix, our really dark mix, and just let it blend with that blue just a touch, I guarantee you're gonna see a tree form right in front of your very eyes. As we get out here, we're gonna try not to cover up all of our dark areas with bright. Right? We don't need every spot to be the exact same. I'm gonna rotate the brush. So we got a very bright, clean spot out here. And then miss areas, my friends. Just miss them. Now we're gonna crisscross over into our blue side every so often. Don't have to get too bright, don't have to get too crazy, but just that makes it look like that branch is poking out at us and catching the light right there, right? Isn't that insane what you can do with just a little white, a little black, and a little blue? I swear to God, I didn't mean for that to rhyme. I did not mean for that to rhyme. It did quite well, but I didn't mean for it to do that. Amazing, you guys. Okay, let's take this other guy. We're gonna come down here 28 minutes, my friends, on a big old monster canvas. That's what can happen when you actually know your idea to start with. Okay, let's put one more little bush right down here in front of this guy. We got the paint, right? Now, how am I gonna do this bush? Am I gonna make it taller than the tree? Am I gonna make it taller than that bush? Do I care how tall it is? And all I really care about is about where its butt sits down here, right? So depending on what you want it to look like, let me tap it out, it comes down here, right? And this is a very important thing, okay? You see how this is curling itself back up like that? That's a no-go. Don't do that, okay? Whatever your angle is down here, you also need to match on the way down. So have a bit more of that darkness down in here. So it's a little triangle shape, okay? That's gonna help you when it comes time to drag it out, okay? You know you've gotta start way up here. We gotta work it down at a little angle. And then we gotta start way up here. We gotta work it down at a little angle, right? Making this little bush much more 3D just by doing that. Depends on how far you want it to come out, or you swipe it off at the bottom. But still, that rounded edge makes it look 3D. My friends, I'm telling you for a good reason. Right? And when we mix in or we get some of that white color from down here onto our brush, we can literally slide this guy back. We can go back and add more paint. We can allow this gray to mix in. You do not have to paint every part of the canvas, honestly. If you want white snow over here, that looks like white snow, as long as you can kind of graze over it and blend it in a touch. All right, and all of a sudden you got a finished painting. Very cool. But we're not done yet. We're gonna keep going and going and going. Drop in a little fence back here. It can be gorgeous. Right? Now, again, we have to go back and highlight on our guys. So, what do we do as far as our highlight color? I like coming in with a little bit of our liquid white. A little bit of our Prussian blue or ultramarine blue or whatever it is. And imagine where on your bush is it going to be in the dark. We're gonna put a little bit of blue back in there, right? Maybe that guy's underneath the tree. We're not catching much light back here because he's situated underneath his little friend. Okay, we'll wipe or clean off that brush. Then we'll go back in and we'll launch on some highlights or some healights, whatever. There we go. Get our liquid white and our titanium white. Dab it in, very light, right? Remember, we're only gonna catch it underneath this little bush, right there. Not even gonna climb itself all the way up. It doesn't have to, right? It does not have to go all the way up to the top. Think about where your light is coming in and hitting onto this side. Right? If we need to, we can always go back in, blend away, or add a little bit of snowy white underneath. Right? Just don't want to do too much. Do too much, and guess what? You're not gonna like it anymore if you add too much. So, the more of our, especially if you're trying to do it with your highlight brush, now it's very wet, right? Because it's got all that liquidy white paint in it, so it's gonna act a little bit different. So you've got to decide what to do every time that we go to do a painting. Now, let's get on to our other side. But before we do that, we need to mix up a bit of our black mix. So we'll take our deep dark color, we'll grab our black, our crimson, our blue, mix it up down here. Woo, that's a big old pile right there. Now, you guys do me a favor, check in, just tell me where you're watching from. And if you don't know who I am, or have never seen me before, my name's Josh, and I teach landscape oil painting, seascape oil painting, spacescape, it's everything oil painting. But if you didn't know as well, I get the comment all the time, oh, Bob Ross this, Bob Ross that. Bob Ross is actually part of my family tree. He is my grandfather's cousin, and it's crazy. We only really found out like a year and a half ago. Now that I got this darkness over here, I'm gonna use my big old dark bushy brush because we're gonna make a big tree that looks like a bush, okay? So what I want you to do is just promise me that you won't leave for like the next 3 to 4 minutes. Can you, are you sitting at home? Are you chilling on the couch? Can you just give me 3 to 4 minutes to show you something cool before you leave? Because when I first start doing this, you're gonna go, oh my God, he just ruined the painting. What is this guy doing, right? But I'm telling you, we need it here for a reason. So can you just promise me that you won't go anywhere for just 3 to 4 minutes, okay? And I'll show you how to paint different kinds of trees using a different brush. So we'll take this guy over here, load it up. You can even hear it, listen. Oh, it was all squishy and gross, right? We don't need to go all the way to the top, but we do need to be taller than this tree. Not necessarily taller than this guy, but taller than him. So let's go, oh, look at this. This is my favorite part of the painting. And you have to cover it, right? It's the worst part, it's covering over your favorite parts of your painting sometimes. Now we're gonna pop out. How far out, that's up to you. You gotta dip in, you gotta come out again, leaving some of our snowy thing back there so you can kind of imagine walking around or through a little pathway. And then again, we gotta make that same angle going back, right? If you're coming down this steep, you better be going back pretty steep too to help everything stick together, okay? Now we have to fill in all this area, darkening out everything else that's beyond, right? You can have a couple little bits that are popping up into your thing, but just like that, launching this massive blast of trees, okay? Now, I gotta go back and I have to highlight that big old thing. And I used to struggle highlighting these guys because I was always thinking about it as one single tree, right? If you think about it as 5 different trees, it's not so bad. Remember, all of our light is gonna go on top, so under our light, and maybe back here, we might have a bit of our shadow, okay? Now, we don't wanna obviously cover up everything because then there's gonna be no room for our light and there's gonna be no room for our depth, okay? Every so often, you have to stop. You go to your odorless mineral spirits, put it into your titanium white so it becomes almost like water, okay? Very wet, look at that. It's just sopping, just foul, okay? Over here, connect, create a little tree trunk or a branch or something feeding up into our little things. You don't need to do much more than that on your first go, okay? Then we're gonna drop down to wherever our trunk is. We're gonna cover over that little guy so we can't see where he's from. Dropping off little things, leaving gaps in between. You gotta leave gaps in between those little things. Right, again. Just drop down again. Now, everywhere that's not blue, you can imagine seeing a bit of white highlight on the top of it, okay? In between all of our little pals, from every dark area, you can pop in a whole nother little trunk, a bit of something that's just down there, that's holding up the entire mass of stuff that is these guys, okay? And I only got a few minutes left, or maybe less than one, in order, because I asked you to stay for just 3 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes, okay? Just like that. Pop in a couple little branches that are holding up our stuff. Let's wash off our bushy brush or our oval brush, which we make all these highlights with. And that way they'll stay nice and bright white. All right, we'll use our liquid white. We have to have our liquid white. We'll get our titanium white. Now, initially we jam on with so much pressure. When we come out here, we just tap on with just the lightest pressure, guys. We're not trying to cover every piece of everything, right? Not everywhere has to be so bright or so dark. All we're really trying to do is cover up some of these little places, right? So we got a little bit up here, over there, right? Top of our little branches, in between our little areas of blue and things and such, right? And the more that you tap on there, the more you're going to cover. So you got to be careful about where you're touching and the amount of pressure, right? It's all about the pressure over here. Very light little pressure. If it doesn't come off, you don't have enough, your mixture is not right, right? It should come off with very light pressure. Let's take this guy, slide him out, slide him out, slide him out. Boom. See how we went out, then we went in a little bit further, then out, then in a little bit further, then out, giving it more of a realistic feel. Now, I told you to wait like 3 to 4 minutes. What do you think of that little guy right there, which you can literally do? I know you guys can do it. I just showed you exactly how. Right? What do you think? Let me know. Oh, he's gorgeous. Isn't that cool? Isn't that just neat? 3 to 4 minutes, you guys. You got this. I'm telling you. You could do that, right? Now comes the crazy part. We could leave it just like that, right? Looks like we could literally walk into, almost like there's a snowy roadway right there. It's just turning off. There's so many things you can do. So many things. Why don't we get the last bit of paint we can get? Why don't we decide this guy comes down a bit further? Okay, right out there. Right there. There, that's a bit further out, right? Now I'll go back to my little brush. Come down in here. All I've done is just shrink our path a little bit. That's all we've really done. Just shrunk that path back. Made it a little bit smaller back there, right? Extending it out over here, which is going to make it easier to do our little fence. Did you know we're about to put a fence in this thing? 38 minutes, we're rocking and rolling, guys. Right here, little black, little crimson, little blue. Mix it up into our plaque mix. All crazy, just like that. Zip, bing, bang, boom. Now, we can choose to add brown, or we could leave it as a very limited color scene, right? If we wanted to add brown, now is going to be the time to do it. Or if we want to leave it just blue, black, and crimson and white, and where you only need 4 colors to do the painting, then we can do that too. Right? Let's add a little bit of our light blue color with that highlight paint in there, just off the back side of our trunk. A little bit of our white highlight color with that liquid white paint in there, just off the front side of our trunk, and all of a sudden, got yourself a little tree trunk right there. Let's take that same little bit of that white paint, and let's say we might be able to see a little piece of the tree trunk inside of our tree. Right? It's all up to us and how we want it to look. And my mom would be like, Josh, go out and just turn that tree so that there's not a hole looking at us right there. Like every time, every Christmas tree, every tree, literally, Josh, turn it. There's a hole. You got to turn it so I can't see that hole. Ma, it's okay. There's a hole on the other side too. No, Josh, you got to turn the tree. It'd be like a whole thing. Anyone else's mom was like that? Or is that just me? That's just my mom. Okay, let's get a little bit more of our highlight color. Right down here, we're gonna need to go get some more of this stuff. Right there, a little touch. A little bit of something growing out. Okay, now we'll go back into our darkness. Right, your mom was like that too. Would you get over there and turn the tree? I can see the hole. I'm like that, says Brittany. That's funny. I'm kind of like that too, and it's only because my mom was so nuts about it. All right, let's take a little bit of our plaque paint. Same deep, dark stuff. We're gonna come right out here, guys. And let's just say, ooh, what if we put one right there? Boom, boom, boom. Just a shabby old little fence post in the night. Right? I'm gonna take off the front of that guy. We're gonna go down at an angle. Down at an angle, down at an angle. Boom, 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 boom. I'm not trying to make it too dang big. Just like that. Gorgeous. Gorge. Gonna make it straight, Josh. There we go. There we go. Give me a second. Don't leave. It's gonna look really cool. This is gonna look really cool. Okay, we're gonna take our next one. He needs to be a little bit higher up, right? And a little bit thicker. And what? Does it need to be lower as well as higher? Because I think so. I don't know about you guys, but I think so. It also needs to be the slightest bit wider as well, just to show that it's that littlest bit closer, right? So we got a fence post there, we got a fence post there. Okay, we gotta make sure it's dark, so let's leave some of that dark paint. There we go. Really get it on there. And then we can do our little guy. This one should be a bit taller though. There. Now we can come off of this guy, pulling straight down with our plaque paint, right, over there. So you got your little thing based off of how it's sitting. It's looking like it's coming closer to us because this being a little bit lower and a little bit taller, okay? So, our last one again has to be the slightest bit taller and the slightest bit more down in the ground in order for it to look right. And all we're doing is putting this plaque mix right here. This one can be the biggest one. Remember, he's a little closest. He's the closest guy, so he can be a little bit bigger. And we're just laying down that plaque mix, remembering that this is an old shabby fence. No one's out here maintaining this fence, right? So it doesn't have to be this perfect thing. That's why I love old shabby stuff, because it's not perfect. All right, come over here. We're gonna get a little bit longer on our strokes as we come, indicating that it's getting closer to us by the slightest bit. Doesn't that look like a cool little fence? Now we'll come down here, we're gonna grab our paint, we're gonna start to slide it out, and then slide it back. And we can decide where our little piece of wood contacts our ground. Same thing over here, just kind of slightly pulling out in either direction, blending in our little things back here. Okay. We need to keep it lower, so we're gonna keep it lower like this. Not gonna let it get too high up, otherwise they're gonna look exactly the same. And then same thing way down here, barely touching the bottom, just leaving a little bit of that color out there in the snow. Right? You get this really cool, shabby ass little fence. Very neat. Now, let's get a little of our liquid white. We're gonna come along and let's touch along the top edge of that plaque mix with our liquidy white stuff. That's gonna allow us to have our snow. And if we put our blue over that plaque, it's gonna look like our wood is all frozen. I got frozen wood over here. Yeah. We're not trying to cover up all of our plaque mix. Right? We don't need it to be extremely bright or all blue or whatever. Just need to have a little touch of that plaque around the edges. Let's go off our left side right here. Left side right here. Just kind of tapping at it as we go down so you get that wood texture to it. Tap, 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 tap. Same thing. Tap, 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 tap. Little bits. If you have your liquid white in your mixture, right, it's going to make it come off of your palette tool even easier. So tap it, tap it, tap it. Not trying to make it all blue, right? We need to have that darkness around it. Around the back, around the front, around the bottom. You have to have that dark outline. It just makes it look more 3D. If you don't have the dark outline, you're gonna be missing it. I'm telling you. Right there. Ooh, it's just sunk in over there. I like it. Now, we'll go back with our liquid white and our titanium white mixture. You have to have both. You can't just use the liquid white, it's too thin. You have to have some of this titanium white. Dump it right on the top. And that's gonna be our little snowy highlight on the top of our fence. Right? We can also do it down the side, where it looks like our fence is lighter on one side, darker on the other, just based off of that little bit of brightness. And then our shadowy colors, it's the same thing, tapping in. You decide what it looks like by how bright you let it get. Right? You're in control this whole time. I just said you're in. You're in control this whole time. I'm a child, I'm sorry. And you can do whatever you want to do every time you do the painting. It's totally up to you. Remember now, these chunks of wood are only little 2x4s. They're only like an inch and a half wide, so they're not going to hold a lot of that light color on the top. So don't try to put too much white on top of your little fence posts. Just kind of touching, dropping it off. Whatever sticks is going to stick. Isn't that the coolest thing you've ever seen? Quite literally. I appreciate it. I am in agreement with you. Let's sleep this guy back. There. That way he won't keep growing out. And then I can pull on this paint, slide it back in. Bang, just like that. Go back over here with my titanium white and decide where I want my thing to be brightest. Adding my little color in where I want it. Very cute, guys. Man, I like that. Okay. It needs one more thing right down here in the front, don't you think? To kind of force our little pathway to turn. We need something right here about as big as my 2 fists. So, what do you think? Should we put in a big old bunch of bushes down there? Do you have a different suggestion? And don't say cabin, because cabin, no lakes. There's no way a lake could go in there. There's not enough room. We got a big bush, we got some rocks. That's a cool idea. A boulder. A wolf, a big old tree. A big tree would work too. I'm not sure we need to go as big as we did on Tyler's big old tree on this guy. I think if we get our bushes down in here, it will almost make them look like they're connected onto that guy, and it will help make our little pathway like this. See what I mean? That way it'll look like, but we have to have something in this bottom corner. Otherwise it just looks a little bit too empty to me. So I'm gonna mix up a little bit more of my plaque mix, because this is definitely not enough. So let's mix up a little bit more of our blue, black, and crimson. Just about as nasty as we can get it. All thick and gross. There we go. Nice. There it is. Look at that big old pile of paint. Just foul. It's an enormous amount. It's humongous. There we go. Big old enormous pile, just like that. And what we're gonna do is sort of make this guy just on a smaller scale down here. And sure, we could make dudes, we could make this whole thing again, just on this side being a bit taller, right? So it would pop out here, it would come out here, it would pop up into there, and then it would be down here, still forcing us away. So what do you guys think? Should we just put some bushes here? Or should we do another set of trees like this, or another set of bushy tree whatevers like that, and pop them up down into here? Or should we just do one big old bush, maybe 2 big old bushes down along the bottom? What do you think? We got bush, another set of trees. Do the trees, neither or. Fallen tree, do a unicorn. Big trees, fallen tree, bush, bushes, pack of wolves. Well, unfortunately, we don't. A giant Lego, that'd be cool. All right, I'm thinking those two, because that'll make it different than Tyler's one. And I just love painting these guys. Now remember, we got to start up real tall. You got to get out. You got to drop down. And we got to make sure it's really dark enough and thick enough in its texture to make sure that it pushes everything else back, and make sure that it looks like the closest thing to us, because of the amount of paint. That one we mushed on a lot. This one, let's keep getting back in here, dropping it down under the shadows there. You can even let it connect, who cares? Whatever, just let it connect down in there, right? Ooh, God, look at that. It almost looks like there's a little walkway back underneath right now anyway, until we cover it all. Yes! Now, What are we supposed to do? If we're coming down this really steep angle, are we supposed to match that angle going up this way? Or are we supposed to turn and match the angle going down the other way? What do you think? Type it in to the comments section now. You guys. Man, this one looks cool. Down the other way, exactly. We're turning and then we're angling down, down, down this way, filling in everything. Everything. So if we're coming down, out to a point, we gotta come back to a point as well, and we can even continue, just like that. Bingo, bango. Now it really looks like there's a little pathway that we gotta walk around. So, you come in and you decide by pulling out your bushies wherever you would like them to be. You can even take away that whole section right there, just by mixing it up. Bang, now it's gone. Now it's gone. Right? Come back in here, slide it out. Don't need to get everywhere. Don't want to have it all the same. And then we got a really cool scene. It looks like you just walk right around this corner. We hit the fence, right? Almost like we're at a T. So we had to come up to here and we had to turn and go off into the forest. Which pathway are you going to take? All right? Start coming up with a title for this painting, you guys, by the way. Because if you purchase it during the show, you get to come up with its title forever. And if not, then we have to come up with it as a group. So I'm going to need your help. Plus, the more times you guys comment what title it's going to be, the more people are going to come to the show, and you'll see the number climb up the more that you comment. It's directly correlated. The more times you guys are talking amongst each other and, you know, anything, it's going to bring more people to the show, which helps me. So if you want to help me, then comment. Comment, comment, comment. Comment even when no one's watching, like when you dance in the shower. Comment. Comments come flying. We need to plug in the YouTube camera over here. I'm sorry, guys. I had to get my arm in the way. There. Get that guy all plugged in for us. Can you put a bird on the fence? Fork in the Road's a cool title. Fork in the Road is cool. What the fork in the road was that? Let's get over here. Grab a little bit of our liquid white and our bluey color. All right, there it is. Come back off of these guys, remembering that we're going to be highlighting our bright section along the outside. So our highlights have changed now, okay? A couple little bits, and then remember, go back in with your odorless mineral spirits and your titanium white so it becomes very wet and runny, okay? Then maybe pop in a little old tree trunk or some branches or whatever. Just be weird with it. You don't have to be perfect. In fact, you want to be weird, and we're running out of our blue. There's not enough blue here to make it as dark as I want. It's something I was going over with our in-person student Brenda earlier today, which is as we are further away in our scene, we want our highlights to be lighter. And they need to get a little bit darker, and they need to get a bit darker, right? And so we just need more of our blue paint out onto our thing is all. The liquid white is going to help it come off of the brush, right? Dabbing in a couple little places, and in between your breaky areas, right? You're going in, adding little touches of branches or whatever, right? Out here, over there, maybe that guy grew off that side, up into here. They're all over the place. And that's going to help you if you slow down and go, okay, I need to have some spaces. And every so often, I need to go back into those spaces and start launching in a couple little tree branches and stuff. Right? Then it's going to help you from overdoing it, right? Like all underneath these guys, I need some more branches. Over here, over there. How many branches do I want? That's up to me. How many do I want to show? It's again up to me because I can come up here and cover over some of them. Leading down, and then we'll leave a little bit of space underneath. And we'll come back in. And we'll launch up a few more little things here and there and there and here and wherever. From our dark areas up underneath our blue areas and stuff. And then we have all these little things. Right? Then we can go, okay, maybe I want to come down. I need a little bit more of my paint. Maybe I want to come down here. There. Right? We'll get these guys to just grow right down onto our little snowy spot. How do you want yours to look every time we do it? We can do it a little different. Pop a little bit of blue down underneath that guy. But again, we're not covering all of our black. We have to have that black shadowy mix down there in order for it to have any depth. So just remember that. Do not cover all of the darkness or Josh is going to go mental, okay? We're going to get our liquid white. We're going to come over here into our titanium white. There we go. Right down there. We got to mix the two together because one is too thick and the other one is too thin. So we need a little Goldilocks and the 3 liquid whites over here, and it's got to be just right, in order for it to fall off of our brush. Maybe we're catching a little bit of brightness out there. Having it go into our tree. Over here. On top of our little bit of blue, and we're crisscrossing our blue right there. That way, these two blues don't connect because we've got a little bit of brightness in between. Hop down over here. Not every place is going to be hit by the same amount of brightness. Right? So we know that we cannot physically cover every single spot with bright. And if we do, then we've ruined it. Because you need areas of brightness down here, down there, wherever that light is trying to reach, you get to decide and then go back and change your idea, do whatever. There's a couple little real bright spots out there. Little things out there, guys. Right, now these, they look a little funky to me, so we either need to connect them like this, and climb up a little bit higher, or make them all blue, like that one back there is too bright. So now we gotta dull it back down. Maybe these guys are a bit too bright. So what do? We go back to our bluey color, come back over them, and darken them back down, putting more little shadowy areas in there. Bang, bang, bang. Little differences, guys. The differences are what's going to sell your painting, right? If it's all the same, nothing's going to happen for you out there. If you got all these little different spots and then come in here with the tip of your palette scraping tool and scrape in all sorts of little sticks and twigs and all sorts of stuff. And every area of the canvas, literally removing the paint and revealing the white canvas underneath. It's one of my favorite things to do. Same thing, pop it out down there. You got a little bit of grass growing around your fence post. Couple little things, just like that, right? Little bits, whatever, nothing matters out there, you guys, I'm telling you. Now, you've got to come up with a title for this one. You decided we should put all these trees in here, so now you got to give me a title on what we're going to name this awesome little bluey little painting, right? That is wicked cool. Wicked cool, guys. I like it. We can even come up here and change our whole idea, extend it out a little bit, so we can have a bit more land underneath. Right, however we want. Get back up here with that white and really brighten it up. There. Doesn't even have to be bright all the way back behind. But isn't that cool? Isn't that just the neatest little thing you can do? With just 4 colors. That's all we have. 4 little measly little colors. And we popped out a wicked cool painting in just 1 hour, my friends. Now that's neat. Okay, you guys come up with a title for this painting. You have to let me know whether or not it finds a new home and someone really likes it or not. We have to come up with a title for it together. So, what would you call this painting? Tell me now. And this will probably be my only show today, only because I taught an in-person class and I taught a virtual class and I did a live show. And so this will probably be the only one, unless it finds a new home. Maybe I'll come back and do a second one. Maybe. It's a hard maybe, though. Just like that. Oh, goodness. Goodness, because I am tired, bro. I'm tired. Okay. This guy, that guy. Come down over here. Zip. Like so. Throw in the old JK. Just kidding. This one still has way too much paint on my brush. Way too much paint. Hang on. There we go. There we go. I'm trying to sign it with just way too much on there. There we go. That's much better. Bang! Perfect, guys. I hope you guys like this one. I really do. It came out fantastically. Just amazingly. Dare I say, even better than the one last night. And then Brad Bob's gonna come over to Oregon and take me out. Boom, ba-boom, Heaven's Pathway, Frosted Fort, Frozen in Time. That's a cool one. Frozen in Time, Fresh Fallen Snow. I like that too. Winter Stroll, Frozen Trails, Winter Solitude, The Path Most Traveled. Boom, Mystic Forest. You guys are cool. Cross Paths, Bird's Eye View. I like that. Late Migration, there you go. There you go, thinking about the birds in the winter cold. You know some birds never migrate? Some, most do. Some never migrate. Very cool looking though. Mystic Path. Powdered Dreams, I like that. Into the Mist. You guys are cool. Entrance to Narnia, that's a cool one too. Literally, if I could do a, if I could paint a lamppost, pop it right down there and it would be Narnia. That would be a cool painting, wouldn't it be? Frozen in Time. Where the snowman has gone before. Winter of Narnia. A Touch of Frost. I like that. Frosted Forest is cool too. Forest in the Mist. Guys, that's wicked cool. Echoes of a Snowy Trail. Deanna, that's my number one right now. Echoes of a Snowy Trail. I like it. Hidden Cross in the Fence. I guess I can see it. You're in the lead right now, Deanna. Unforgettable Retreat. That's a cool one right there. Unforgettable. The Abandoned Fence. That's a neat one too. Frozen of Narnia. Winter Whispers. You guys are just too much fun. Jack Frost's Playground. I like that too. A Fork in the Frost. Ooh. Oh my God. The Silence of the Winter Woods. That has got to be very close to overtaking Echoes of a Snowy Trail, but I think we're going to go with Echoes of a Snowy Trail as our title, because I like that. That's really cool. And this is, again, why I depend on you guys to come up with the titles, because I've titled so many paintings that I can't even title them anymore. Perfect. I can't even think of a name anymore to make these paintings up. So, that's why I rely on you guys. And remember, you can grab this canvas, this original canvas right here, can be yours. If you go to paintwithjosh.com, you know exactly what it looks like now. Right? You can see it. And this will be the exact one that gets sent out to you when it arrives. You can take a picture of it. This one's number 18, shoot guys, what's this number? 1855? I think it's 55, because I did 2 classes today. 1855. Anybody? Did I miss it? Anyone out there? Thank you, Cosmic. I appreciate that. 1855. That's what I thought. Okay, what are we calling it again? Oh, I forget. Echoes of a... Okay, thank you guys for still having that pen. Echoes of a Snowy Trail. Like that for a title, my friends. Okay, this one was painted on 5/18/2024. We're all going to go to paintwithjosh.com because it's the best place of all time. And you got to get over there and check out this painting before someone else gets it. There could be someone there right now just waiting to grab it. And it could literally disappear before your eyes. So if you're not the person to get it, then you cannot complain if it goes away. So get over there now, grab it, and once it's dry, it'll be headed to you in a nice box, professionally wrapped and insured. So I've got to clean off these brushes. You guys get to sit here and just take it in. Just live with what you've got right here. It's just gorgeous. I'm going to clean off all these brushes. We went through lots of brushes today. Okay. Lots of brushes. remember, if you get this one during the live show, you do get a free spin on the spinny winny wheel. So, if that comes into play. Okay. We got a couple left. So, excellent title, awesome tutorial, and in fact, we might as well get rid of the tutorial. So, you guys over on YouTube, I just love you. I can't wait for you guys to watch this video and try it, and then send in your versions of it to me over on Facebook at Official Paint with Josh, or on Instagram at Paint with Josh K. Send them in. I can't wait. And until I see you guys again next time, take care. Have the rest of a good day. And blah, blah. Blah-boosh.